Hey, what's up YouTube? King James here. Just finished a review on the FARA 83 and the Krig 6, and that really only leaves two Cold War ARs that I haven't tested yet, and that's the AK47 and the XM4. And until recently, both of those guns were pretty broken. The barrels didn't do anything. They said they give, bullet velocity and effective damage range, but they didn't. But they fixed that. So I decided to try both of them out now that the guns are viable again. And I've tested them, and I've got that for you right now. So one of the first things I like to look at is the base stats on the weapon, because it tells a little bit of the story. And I've got it here for the XM4 and the AK. You can see the XM4, higher rate of fire, 721 versus only 600 on the AK-47, but the damage, 48 and 32 versus 58, 43, and 36. Now both guns have only one drop off, which is really good for an AR, 22 and 25 meters. And what you'll notice is the damage on the XM4 goes on to 42 for the head, but after 22 meters, you're probably shooting, chest or extremity shots anyway, so you're getting down into the 28 range, and that's like 9 to 10 bullets to kill. We're on the AK-47, you're still getting 38 on the body here and 32 on the stomach and extremities. So really that's only, like 7 or 8 bullets to kill on a fully plated enemy. So the AK-47 definitely hits harder, but it also shoots slower. But that's only part of the story. Let me show you a little bit on the recoil pattern, and then I'll show you some gameplay. So here's the recoil patterns for the guns, and the XM4 is up first, and I shot it up the wall, and then I switched over to the AK-47 here and did the same thing. And the pattern on the AK-47 is a little bizarre. It goes up and goes over and across and then goes back up again, which is likely why I had a little trouble with it shooting long range. But let me fast forward here to the into the patterns. Okay, so you can see here, look at the XM4. It just goes straight up and then over to the side. And that's a fairly easy pattern to be able to compensate for it. But for the AK-47, it's a bit of a different story. You can see, look at the distance between the bullets here and the first few shots. They're really far away, which means it's got a really hard vertical recoil pattern right up front. And then it does this like left and right thing and loops around, and then it gets a little tighter and goes straight up. And I sort of noticed this when I was shooting the gun and using it for, medium and long range gameplay. So let me show you a little bit of footage of using the XM4 first and then the AK-47, which will tell a bit more of the story. So here's the XM4, and as predicted, it's a pretty smooth shooting gun. It's got pretty good damage, and it works at, close, medium, and far range. It's has nice ability to be able to track enemies flying out of the air. Like that guy shot him out of the air and then thirsted him. So I never really had any problems with this gun. I felt it was pretty strong. It sort of felt quite similar to the Krig 6 or sort of Cold War's version of the M4, which I guess is what it's supposed to be, is the XM4. So generally had no problem with it. Ran it with an SMG as a medium long range gun, and it worked pretty good. The AK-47, on the other hand, well, I saw this guy here and I took a couple of shots and noticed the recoil, so I was just trying to burst it, but it really didn't work all that well as a long-range gun, so I pretty well gave up. This guy here was moving. I didn't have much of an opportunity to shoot him, but, even when there was jumping off here, it just, had a bit of a hard time initially. Once it's firing, it's a little bit more stable and easy to shoot, but on those long-range shots, it was a lot of what you're seeing here, just me shooting, getting a couple of tags, and not actually able to down anybody. I don't really feel like the AK was a really strong long-range gun. Now I did get a little better with it. I found I could control it, and I really worked with that recoil pattern, and I'm sure if I played with it a lot and really studied the pattern, I'd get better at it. But at initial usage, it didn't seem like it was a super awesome long-range gun. And this is sort of what happened. Get a couple of guys down, and then I was out of ammo here, but ended up getting taken out. So let me show you the build for the two guns. But just before I jump into that, I want to say thank you to everybody who's recently been here, watching my videos, and subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate all that love and support. So thank you guys. And if you haven't subbed to the channel, consider subscribing, because it really does help small content creators like myself. All right, let me show you the XM4 first. So I've been running the XM4 with an SMG, the Bullfrog or the Cold War MP5 or the MAC-10. Works really good with those as a medium long range gun. Let me show you my build. So for the suppressor, I'm using the agency suppressor. Sound suppression, vertical recoil control, bullet velocity increase, and effective damage range. It's got everything you need in a suppressor and a lot of really good stats for a gun. For the barrel, I'm using the reinforced heavy. And the thing about the reinforced heavy is it's got effective damage range and bullet velocity. So 25% effective damage range and more bullet velocity. Let me show you my testing. So on the XM4, the reinforced heavy gave almost a 30% increase with the bullet velocity. Now the extended was 60, but I don't really feel like you need to go that high, because with the reinforced heavy and the agency, you get up right around 979. And as soon as you're close to 1,000 or on 1,000, that's as much bullet velocity as you need, where your bullets will feel like they're hitting instantly and you don't have to lead your shots. So anything more than that is a bit of a waste. And I would rather have the 25% effective damage range from the barrel than more bullet velocity, which I don't really feel like you need. So the reinforced heavy. And for the optic, I'm using the Axial Arms 3X. You can use the 2X if you don't want quite that much zoom, or even the Microflex LED, which is a great, really close optic if you want something that's a little shorter range. But for me, I'm using this for my medium to long range, so the Axial is a good choice. For the ammunition, I'm using the Salvo 60 round fast mag. It's about a 60 millisecond improvement on the reload time, which is great. If you want a faster ADS, you can use the 45 round, but on a medium to long range gun, I don't find that the ADS is really all that impacted, because I'm carrying an SMG with it that has a super fast ADS on it. So for this, I can deal with a little bit lower, slower ADS, because you're not necessarily pulling it out to shoot a guy who's right in front of you. And for the underbarrel, we've done enough testing on all the underbarrels. The Field Agent is the best one to run for a medium long range gun because of the vertical and horizontal recoil control. And that's how I would build my XM4. Let me show you the AK47. So the AK47, I found that with a medium long range gun using a scope, it was quite bad. I couldn't make it to work, kind of like the FAR 83. But up close, it actually worked pretty good as an iron sight, no stock gun. So I was running it with the SPR. And because of that super high damage, I found that I was able to wreck guys up close to the thing. And it's certainly off meta. So if you like to carry guns that are off meta instead of the FFAR or the MAC 10, this is definitely a viable option. It definitely works, and it hits really hard. And you get some interesting death comms when guys see that they got killed by an AK-47 up close. So on this build, much like the other ones, I'm using the GRU suppressor or the agency suppressor, same thing. I'm using the reinforced barrel again for the exact same reasons I just covered on the XM4. So increased bullet velocity and effective damage range. And instead of an optic, I'm using no stock, because this gives you a ton of sprint to fire time. So that makes it so that you can pull the gun out after running super fast. So if you're going to use this as a sort of close to mid-range gun and you're going to be fighting up against the guy with an FFAR, you want the fastest sprint to fire time you can get so that you can shoot earlier or just as quickly as somebody else who's coming up and they're also running, and you draw at the same time. The faster your sprint to fire time is, the sooner you can start shooting. And for the ammunition, I'm running the regular 45 round. Because I was using this for close to medium, I didn't want any impact to the ADS speed, so this gives you more bullets and no downsides. And I ran a Spetsnaz grip on here, or the Field Agent, just for the horizontal recoil control. Now there's a couple of different things you could do. You could run the 5 milliwatt laser here if you wanted more hip fire. And you could also, do away with the stock or the Spetsnaz grip and also run an optic. You could, pick up the Microflex LED if you like to run like a close range optic when you're running your gun and you don't like the iron sights. I found that this setup here worked pretty well. I don't know if you need the Spetsnaz grip with close to medium range quite as much. This gun's pretty gnarly, so I don't think it's going to make it a whole lot better. So you can try hip firing and or running an optic on it as well. But even in this format with, changing a couple things up, it's still going to work and slap pretty hard. All right, so what's the final word? Well, the XM4, it works at medium long range. I had no problem getting downs. It was a good, comfortable gun to use and had a predictable recoil pattern. It even worked up close, just like this. So, the gun's a good all-rounder. It's sort of like the Cold War M4, or, equivalent to, say, the Krig 6 a little bit. It's just a general good all-rounder. It hits pretty hard, has a good time to kill, and, I had no problems using it pretty well anywhere. And with the blue tracer pack, it was actually pretty fun to use. For the AK-47, on the other hand, not a good long-range gun. Just the recoil pattern on it is too gnarly with that, the way it went left to right in the middle. So I just didn't find that it was good for that. Up close, it's definitely fun to use up close. It's sort of an off-meta, close to medium-range gun. It was actually pretty fun to use there. So anyway, give them both a try. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, if you don't see me in Warzone, if you don't see me in multiplayer, it's only a matter of time, baby. King James out.